Hello, Jennifer Brown, activist, digital soldier from Las Vegas, reporting to you live. I wanted to go into why the character assassination and the media character assassination on the President of the United States. But to go into this, I have to educate you on what's been going on and those who are going to be punished for the crimes that they did. So let's start. So what you have is you have human rights violations going on. And with that, there are several different groups that are being violated and several different age groups that are being violated. All these crimes on volumetric scale have to be silenced for the deep state. Now, the deep state has certain people and entities and groups in play to make sure that they hold secrecy to the crimes that have been committed against these groups of people. So the main apparatus that they use to silence and squash the truth is the mainstream media. Without the mainstream media being in contract with the rogue CIA, these crimes would be exposed or would have been exposed a long time ago. Thousands upon millions of lives would have been saved. But because of these contracts with the corporate media, we have not been able to get out the truth other than social media. This is why others who are on pay-to-play contract through social media, big tech giants, are kicking out the accounts of those who are bringing on the truth. I'm one of those people. I lost 3 of my major Facebook pages. I had 3 profiles, and then I had 81 different Facebook pages that were all connected by all 3 profiles. So, and they were on subject matter. Like one was called Black Ops. Another one was called Contact Disclosure Project. That was about the UFO disclosure. I had one for my daughter. I had one called Whistleblowers, and all the things that was going on with the whistleblowers, the famous ones from the intelligence agencies that were coming forward. That was to put them on a pedestal so that more would do the same, you see. So I had a lot of them. I had one on targeted individuals. I had one on Stop Pizzagate. I had a lot of them. So you're starting to get the picture. So Facebook, Twitter, and Google will be shut down after the 10 days of darkness. What is the 10 days of darkness? And the media. Media's going to have a hard problem coming back on the Democratic side. What they all have in common, all these groups, is hiding volumetric crimes against humanity. So with that being said, when we have Facebook, Twitter, promoting pedophilia and crimes against humanity and allowing them to advertise and brag about what they've done and advertise for what they're doing and so on and so forth, these are crimes against humanity. So we just don't allow people to have websites like that. It's considered illegal and a no-no. So Facebook is going to go bye-bye, along with Twitter and Google for working with the deep state and trying to also cover up crimes against humanity. You guys can kiss your ass goodbye. The employees, if you're smart, you'll be looking for work elsewhere. Okay? So the media, same thing. We have 100 indictments with the anchorman, and they're in a lot of trouble. Now, as it stands right now, those involved with crimes against humanity, that have indictments that are involved in such thing. These are also considered organized crimes, or RICO. They're considered domestic terrorism. And under domestic terrorism laws, such as the NDAA, once you are deemed a domestic terrorist, you do not have the right to life, the Constitution. You don't have rights anymore because your Constitution doesn't back up your rights. And therefore, we can incarcerate you, torture you, or kill you. Now, this is relevant in the next section of what human rights violations that I'm going to go into. The FISA Court. The FISA Court backs up this law, in by which it is being used right now for human rights violations. I call it the secret kangaroo court. There are 3 apparatuses when a person is filed through FISA that they're usually targeted. One is digital, full-blown digital surveillance, illegal, by the way, because the file, once it reaches FISA court, it has been manufactured. It is not true. It's been manufactured. And I'll tell you who manufactures that later. No, I'll tell you now. It's the FBI fusion centers that manufacture these files, and then they send them over to FISA court. So one is digital surveillance. FISA court, the second thing that they do is they do boots on the ground surveillance with a paramilitary group called the Gang Stalking Group. It is also, I believe, working in conjunction with Antifa, who is also a paramilitary group, and BLM. When Antifa thins out, they'll pull from the Gang Stalking Group and they'll move them over to Antifa side. They are all 3 groups themselves, being hit with radiation to the brain via Manchurian candidate style deployment. Okay? It's through an ionic plasma beam, which is coming off the cell phone towers. Okay? The same beam that makes your phone work, they have been able to fix it and redirect it to the organs in being used with the biological smart dust or biological nano found within your body. Okay? You have to have 2 systems in play. So that is the 3rd way that they are torturing the individuals whose files make it to the FISA court. Now, the only one that I know of that wasn't surveilled in this manner, and I'm sure there's other cases, is President Trump. Now, it's either that or he is wearing shielding clothing. They sell shielding clothing online on the internet. It may be that he's protecting himself that way, and or he might be ascended as high as 6th dimension like a Melania, to where he can do it himself with his own accord through presenting an invisible shield around him. I do not know that, but I do know that that is possible, where you can shield yourself. I am a victim of these weapons. I can kick them out after they hit me through breathing techniques. If you breathe in deeply and continue and continue and continue and continue, all the while mentioning where you're hurting and saying that you want either a 3-inch sphere of protection, a foot of sphere of protection from radiation, or 2 feet, depending how bad the deployment is. You can get that, and by the time you exhale, your stuff is released. Now, this only happens when you work with crystal stones and you ground with the earth and you meditate along with miracle frequency tone music, and that you believe in that which you pray for, and you stay. You just have to believe in what you pray for. You always say thank you very much in advance for the gifts you're about to receive. That's the end pitch. Okay, so I brought that in for an intelligence guy who's working in NSA. One person or 3 of them actually are hit with these weapons. So that bit right there that I just brought in is for them as well, and all other targeted individuals. So use the technique. It's there. It's available to you. practice, practice, practice. I will tell you this, my first time doing it, I've never failed since thereafter. The key of my success, the key in the beginning was just saying thank you very much in advance for the gifts I'm about to receive. Envision and feel that that gift has already been received. And when you let it go, the next time you take that walk or that breath or that wherever it hits, don't think about the pain. Think about how you aren't in pain when you exhale that breath. Okay? So, there are 3 ways that FISA Court is harming people, is through 24-hour boots on the ground, digital surveillance, number 2, and 3, torture via electromagnetic frequency weapons. Now, electromagnetic frequency weapons are crimes against humanity, and they're deemed not even weapons that can be used in conventional warfare. That's how serious these weapons are. All right, so let's move along. There are several groups of children that are being targeted, and women. What they're doing is we have a very bad situation down below in these tunnel systems where children are kept in large cages, and the infants are being tortured to death. And I'm going to go over the breakdown of what's happening with each group. The infants. With the infants, there are containers, shipping containers that are outfitted for soundproof. In the middle of the container is a dentist chair and tools around that dentist chair. The tools are not for the children, the little infants' teeth. These babies are being tortured for money, okay? And big money is spent. The torture that's going on with all of these different age groups brings in trillions of dollars. Hundreds of trillions of dollars a year. In fact, it is the largest money-making outfit for special access programs that they're working on below to take us out. That is the biggest moneymaker of all. So when we say save the children, there's a lot more to save the children than just what has happened to them. It is about also the money that they're making off these children being abused and tortured and killed, that's being used for our own demise and the takedown of the human race with the special access programs down below. And I'll give you the document of those 200 systems here in a moment. I'll give it to you now. It's called the NASA Future of War PDF. And that document came out of Langley. I spent 4,000 hours on that document, and I couldn't debunk one sentence. Now, in that document on slides 48, 49, and 50, you will find the information pertaining to the electromagnetic frequency weapons. Okay? Because that's just one deployment out of 200. All right? But that one deployment has killed 275 million worldwide. It is a worldwide program, and it's self-explanatory in the document, in by which they don't mention anyone being targeted on a political basis or a whistleblower basis or an activist basis or any there such type thereof, meaning that it's a broad statement. It is meant for everyone. Get what I'm telling you? Okay, let's move forward. So with the babies, they were torturing them, they were killing them, they were chopping them up. You could be on the underground market and ask for certain things to happen to that baby. Same thing, systems were being done to the kids. Let's go to Epstein Island. Epstein Island, in his bathroom, there was one of these dentist chairs. They were doing it also to toddlers. Now, let's move forward. With Epstein Island, I want to tell you that there's 1 million pieces of evidence that we have against all those who attended the island and what they did on that island, including but not limited to their own phones recording some of the torture that was done to the kids, thinking that it would never be, seen. But you know how it is. Everybody has to have a trophy piece, right? Anyway, apparatus mundi of the serial killer, right? And that's basically, in essence, what they're doing. They're killing people on multiple volumetric scale. The toddlers and 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they are coming, we're finding a lot of them coming up from below with black eyes. the black eyes are called panda eyes. What that is caused from is the kids being violated from their backside. And it causes a lot of pressure, and so that pressure ends up creating black eyes for the kids. So this is called panda eyes, human trafficking panda eyes. If you Google that, you'll probably see some images come up on this topic. So that is what's happening to them. A lot of the toddlers are encaged in large dog cages. Many of them are experiencing being experimented on with mind control, Manchurian Candidate style mind control. And this mind control was never, ever, ever shut down. It's just the continuance of the mind control. In fact, the NASA Future of War PDF was saying that they want to deplete the world's populace by 2025 by 85%. That has been moved up to now. However, they're not going to succeed because our stopping their special access programs that are going on in elaborate underground bunkers is being shut down right now as we speak. So what we're doing is we're militarily taking action down below. So with that being said, when we say it's over and they're in checkmate, we mean it. They're not going to succeed, okay? So, but I will say that the bioweapon coronavirus, it's in there about bioweapons and how they want to use bioweapons to kill volumetrically. So, when you look at slide 3, please do remember that there are good and bad factions of all government factions, all government entities. So that means, unfortunately, that there are good and bad in the military as well. So that list there is a list of departments they were hoping they would find some people who would sign on for pay to play to take 10 times the money that they were offered in the regular services. Many people in the thousands and thousands and thousands signed up for this new way to make money, which means that they are undermining their oath to defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and had thus become the domestic terrorist army of, or not army, but military branch of the United States. So, or the rogue deep state army, okay, paramilitary army. So there you go. With a lot of them were required at China Lake that were hired. The military personnel, the rogue military personnel, were required to rape the children to continue on this the pregnancies of these women that were old enough, or the children that were old enough to get pregnant. And this is how they ended up with 5 generations of children down below. Now I'm going to go back to that NASA Future of War PDF. The NASA Future of War PDF, their whole goal was to kill everyone above ground through any means possible, to ruin the environment, to ruin the water, the air, the food, to weaponize everything, including the clothes on your back. So with that being said, they were going to escape down below in these elaborate bunker systems. They had a $700 billion train, a real fast train. We blew that up. It connected to all the continents. That is no longer there. We also had shopping malls and regular train system that would take you wherever you wanted to go in the city. It had elaborate hotels, hundreds of feet tall, just technologies down below that we haven't even been allowed access to. All of that right now is being destroyed. This was the deep state's exit. Well, at least that's what they thought. So, here's what really was going to happen. No one from above ground was to live. The only people that were to get carte blanche were the kids below that were being tortured right now. The 5 generations of men and women, or kids, all of those people were going to be transhumanized and mind controlled and turned into complete slaves. No one from above ground was going to survive, okay? And that's what the people, that's the deceit, that's the deception that's been thrown down from high CIA to high FBI to all the corporate heads. They thought they were going to be having carte blanche and living down below. No, they weren't, okay? So no one was to survive this. No one was to get carte blanche at all. No one. Again, this plan has been thwarted. Let me go back into the toddlers. So at China Lake, the rogue military was raping these kids. They were using mind control on them. They had them locked in large dog cages. They were using mind control on them, and they were also using electromagnetic frequency weapons as well. We knew when the child was, they knew, not we, but they knew when the child was going to die when they rolled up into a ball at the corner of the bed. Not the bed, but the cage. They didn't like that, so what they had to do, because they had to make money off each one of them, because they were money producers. One child could be raped continuously at these farms that they had, where they would farm out the kids. And it was just a rape fest, basically. Torture fest, whatever they wanted to do fest. And these centers were all over the United States. So we saved 2,500 children from China Lake back, not this past 4th of July, but a year before that, the last 4th of July. Not this last one, but the one before it. We saved 2,500 kids. We imploded the facility. Now, what about all the soldiers? We begged them to come across, but they were on such severe mind control that none of them, not one out of 16,000, survived. Okay? Very bad situation there. Getty's Museum. Under Getty's Museum, we saved 2.5 million women and children. Let me say that again. In California, under Getty's Museum, we saved 2.5 men, or not men, but women and children. 2.5 million women and children. We have other operations such as the one in New York. Remember with the tents? Okay. The ventilators were actually for those kids because many of them were dying as we were bringing them up from one pressurized system to above ground. The air quality was completely different, as you would imagine. So just like with a submarine, you have to decompress. So what they were doing is the ventilators were so that they could decompress at certain levels and stop and slow down, decompress, and then come up to the next level where there'd be ventilators, and then the next until the child was brought up safely. Many of these children, when they were brought up, were deformed. They were deformed because they were taped with masking tape in these horrible positions and raped continuously over and over and over and over again for hours and days and weeks at a time. Of course, fed just to sustain their life. These healthcare workers that were on Comfort and Mercy have seen some of the worst things that you could have even imagined. Some of their interviews are on YouTube. Now, so when you start to now understand the Reddick, the character assassination attempt against the president, now you know why this is happening. These people who are doing these crimes are up against hanging from a rope. There is not one person that will survive if they've been part of these crimes against children. Many of them have already hung from a rope and have already been tried. Their video testimonial has been videotaped. You will be seeing this shortly, I think after the election. There's going to be a 10 days of darkness, and by which your cell phone won't work. your newspaper won't run. It won't be delivered because our military is going to stop that from happening. Your television, you won't be able to watch anything on there because your programs won't come up. But you're going to get programming all right. We're going to educate you. Basically, on everything that I've just told you, you are going to see for yourself the truth. You're going to hear the testimonies. You're going to see Guantanamo Bay trial settings. You're going to see a lot of things from the court system itself. We have had a TV crew there every day filming all the proceedings. And you are going to see that. You're going to be educated through documentaries about what the FBI has on the symbolism of what they mean to and how they advertise for the kids on and through social media. You're going to be seeing emails from both Podesta's laptop, Weinstein's laptop, and Hillary's laptop, and how they're all talking in code about children. The FBI has a list of these codes. So now are you starting to get the picture about what is going on and the seriousness of what is going on? And for those who are screaming the loudest through these Democratic media outlets, for those who are screaming the loudest against the president, understand they are the most. They're the ones who have the most to lose. We have a lot of people also in the news media outlets that loved to pay to see horrible crimes happen to children. Anderson Cooper is one of them. Okay, his mom was Gloria Vanderbilt. Let's talk about Gloria Vanderbilt. Gloria Vanderbilt. Oh, we got to talk about one more thing: a drug called adrenochrome. Okay, this is in relationship to Gloria Vanderbilt's home, her indoor pool, by the way. Adrenochrome was being sold on the market on the internet. But any time that you took an adrenochrome product, you were proudly knowing that a child died for that product. The reason being is that the only way you can extract adrenochrome within the blood of the child is to put the child under horrendous torture. And through that, what they do is they tie the child up while they're alive, and they deskin them from the forehead all the way down to the neck. And once they do that, while the child is alive, that child, in the horror, the body overreacts and sends in this chemical into the bloodstream. And this chemical is what gets the stars and the elite high. And they also believe that this chemical also makes them younger. And you know how they always chase to be young through surgeries and God knows what else, and other products. Well, this was the big one. There's even a movie that mentions it. Of course, a movie, because Hollywood. Now, not everyone in Hollywood is a satanic ritual abuse person. I'm not saying that. But trust and believe me on this. NSA has, in this intelligence, our white hat intelligence, we know exactly the ones that are involved in these crimes. And make no mistake about it, we won't mess up. We'll take every single one of you down. So this is a crime that usually after they extract this product, after they've done the horrible defacing, and the child is still alive, they don't keep the child alive. They go on and get the child out and get other parts of the organs, and then they, So, and this had happened between a famous politician and her counterpart. And unfortunately, her assassination attempts on the police officers in New York is not going to stop anyone else from talking, because we already have all the evidence. We have everything, and she will be going down, along with her counterpart. So, are you starting to get the picture now as to why they're using gang stalking, psychological, military type like trained psychological operations to character assassinate this president? Do you understand that now? This is a technique that they've been using for over 45 years within the gang stalking manual, within the gang stalking program, rather, which is a division out of FISA, which is one of the techniques that they use. Remember I told you out of FISA court, where they stalk a person by boots on the ground or surveil them? That's being done by the largest paramilitary group in the United States. Its program was birthed from the Gestapo program out of Germany. So in essence, we have had this program working under our noses without our even knowing for 45 years. Okay? So the technique that they're using right now is the same technique that they use for all targeted individuals, in by which how they are character assassinating this president. And even his file made its way to FISA court fraudulently, along with 10,600,000 other Americans. Are you starting to see the magnitude now of the human rights violations that we are speaking of now? Are you starting to understand the industries and the corporations and all of those factions that they have created, knowing with intent to harm other citizens? There are many, many entities that were involved in this. Many. There'll be millions upon millions of arrests. In fact, Guantanamo Bay is not going to be the only facility created. They're creating and building 8 more facilities to hold the influx of those others who will be arrested and imprisoned. These are all worldwide programs, guys. This does not affect the United States alone. Do you understand? This is why this also affects the placement worldwide of even the worldwide leaders, because our deep state, rogue deep state CIA, has been, threatening them with death and blackballing them and blackmailing them. That's what Epstein Island was all about. Was about Epstein and Maxine Glasswell, I think is her name, framing all of these people, catching them in compromising positions. 1 million pieces of evidence that we have on that alone, including this included diplomats, politicians, news personalities, stars, anybody of affluence. That's who they wanted to invite to Epstein Island. Anyone with a lot of money and a lot of popularity, and who had a lot of camera coverage or political stout. Do you understand now why it is now that they're character assassinating this president, and why he has had up to 20 death threats or more? Assassination attempts, rather. He is doing what he can to save the human race, and he is going to do that. Our military is going to do that. Our constitutions within the intelligence apparatuses are going to do that. Our military intelligence, INSCOM, is going to do that. We're going, all of the patriots within the Q movement are going to get the information out of what's gone on, what has happened, very similar to the information I just told you within this video, and why the president is being